Thank you, Councilman. Good morning. Good morning. There we go. All right. We're going to get started. To give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes Pastor Tricia Neale from Feast of Justice. She is here today as the guest of Councilman Henon. I would ask all members, guests, and visitors to please rise.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please pray with me. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks. Thanks for waking us up this morning. Thanks for giving us life and breath and strength. Thank you for every person in this room, for all of the gifts that they bring. Thank you for the beautiful weather that you have made, a reminder of the love that you have for all of creation. This morning, Lord, we are asking your blessing upon the people who are called to lead the communities in which we live and work and play. We are also asking your blessing upon all who are here, those working in these offices, those standing in the hallways, and those attending this meeting who serve to support, encourage, and challenge our leaders. Help all of us to remember that no matter what district we live in, no matter the language we speak, no matter the person we love, no matter the land we have come from, or no matter the faith we practice, that we all are neighbors. And while we are all called to work for the common good, help these elected leaders with the special responsibilities you have given them in their positions. Help them as leaders to not ask, how do we fix all these problems, but how can we better open our eyes and ears and hearts to serve you and this city. Grant them wisdom to govern among the conflicting issues of these days. Grant them a sense of the welfare and the needs of our neighbors. Grant them a thirst for justice and for righteousness. Grant them humility, honesty, and trustworthiness. Grant them the ability to work together in harmony, and please grant them joy in their tasks. Bless this chamber and all who are in it, that your love, your grace, and your promises might shine forth on this day. We ask this in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for those inspiring words. We really appreciate it. Council will be these. Thank you. And again, thank you so much. Before we proceed on our count, I would like to recognize a couple of guests. I'd like to recognize our good friend, State Representative Dawkins and State Representative Johnson Harrell. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate you being here. Our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, May 23rd, 2019, and the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, May 23rd, 2019 be approved. Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly Seconded, that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, May 23rd, 2019, stand approved. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and our journal is approved. Okay. We got a little glitch here. Our next order of business is the request for leaves of absence, and the chair recognizes Councilman Henon.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the majority, there are no requests of leave of absence today.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair now recognizes Councilman O'Neal.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Republicans, there are no requests for leave of absence.
Chair thanks the gentleman. At this time, I would like to dispense with the regular order of business, and I would like to thank everyone who has taken time out of their busy day to come down to witness their government in action. We genuinely appreciate you being here. We hope your day is not only a knowledgeable one, but a pleasurable one, so much so that you come back again. Again, thank you so much for being here. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell, who will present a resolution recognizing Archbishop Mary Floyd Palmer. Would the Archbishop Palmer and those accompanying her please join the Councilwoman at the podium?
We are honored to be here this morning to recognize not only a leader in our city, but a person whose father we have loved and who knew Lucian Blackwell very well. The Archbishop is with Archbishop Anthony Floyd, her uncle. She is also with Reverend Michael Faulkner and Dr. John Thompson. And we all know her, we know her father. If you ever want to train a choir or hear good singing, call on her. And I've just learned from one of our photographers that her sister sings well too. But this is a family who knows the Lord and who love people and who've done more than their share of helping our city be a better place and doing all that they can to help other people. Thank you. All right. Resolution honoring and recognizing Archbishop Mary Floyd Palmer on her appointment as the first female president of the Philadelphia Council of Clergy. How you like that?
Another glass ceiling has been broken. Whereas on March 16, 2019, Bishop Mary Floyd Palmer made history. Young people, listen up. Made history when she was installed as the first female president, prelate of the Philadelphia Council of Clergy. And
whereas the Philadelphia Council of Clergy, the Council, is a nonprofit organization that is a multicultural group of faith-based leaders.
The Council unites under the desire to alleviate suffering, overcome oppression, and foster justice and peace in the communities. And
Whereas Bishop Mary is the eldest daughter of the Philadelphia legend, Reverend Dr. Melvin Floyd, the urban missionary known as the Dean of Evangelism.
For 25 years, Bishop Mary served with her father as minister of music at Agape Christian Chapel and
whereas Bishop Mary is the founding pastor of the Samaritan Temple. She began her ministry early in life and has never hesitated in giving of her talents and time to serve her church and God. And
whereas Bishop Mary is passionate about prison ministries and has served as a volunteer instructor for male inmates at SCI Chester since 1988. Often, she can be found ministering at federal, state, and county prisons.
She also serves on the Pennsylvania Reentry Council, where she focuses her attention on finding tangible ways to reduce recidivism. And
whereas in May 2011, Bishop Mary was chosen by the National Congress of Black Women to receive their Women of the Year in Ministry Award. Additionally, in 2017, she was given the Lucian E. Blackwell Guiding Light Community Award in 2017. And
whereas Bishop Mary intends to use her new position at the council for good, she will continue her legacy and be a voice for those who are the most vulnerable among us.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the City of Philadelphia hereby recognizes and honors Mary Floyd Palmer on her installment as the first female president of the Philadelphia Council of Clergy.
Further resolved that an engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to Bishop Mary Floyd Palmer as a sincere expression of the Council of the City of Philadelphia's gratitude, admiration, and recognition.
And the chair recognizes the Bishop Palmer.
Good morning.
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 Certainly to President Clark, the honorable council members, elected and appointed officials, esteemed clergy colleagues, gallery attendees, and fellow citizens. I first want to give honor to God, who is my life and to whom I am to obey and serve. Next would be my parents, the late Elizabeth Floyd, who would be hippopotamus happy to be here today, and to my dad in retirement, the Reverend Dr. Melvin Floyd, along with my uncle, his older brother, Archbishop Anthony Floyd. Let me begin by saying that I am truly humbled by this recognition, and I realize that it was not about me. On March the 16th, when I was installed as the first presiding prelate of the Philadelphia Council of Clergy, it was historic that it was a woman succeeding a man. But more importantly, I came later to find out that I'm the first female archbishop in the city, I'm the first female archbishop in the state, and presently the first female archbishop in the country.
Wow.
And as an African-American sister, I can't begin to tell you how that ceiling has now been cracked. I wanted to tell you something simple as this. The level of hurt and division we are experiencing worldwide demands both our passion, compassion, and one-on-one attention. I believe that when this great city of brotherly love reaffirms that we are all our brother and sister's keeper, the world will then take notice. The simple answer to our world's profound disconnect is resident engagement. If I may, Apostle Nick Ashford and prophetess Valerie Simpson wrote a song sung by evangelist Diana Ross that says, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. The simple solution to our nation's profound division is helping our brother up and our sister when he or she falls. The simple key to our city's profound disunity is doing unto others as you would want them to do unto you. I'm reminded about a familiar story that some of you may heard. A mother bought her daughter a giant puzzle and told her to put it together. She thought that it would take weeks and months to create it. However, after a few hours, the little girl came back to her mother and said, "Mommy, I'm all done." Her mother said, "How did you do that?" She said, "On the other side of the puzzle was a picture of a man. When I put the man together, the world took care of itself." In order for us to put this city, this state, and this nation back together, we have to begin to do it person by person, neighbor by neighbor, man, woman, boy, and girl, community by community, city by city, and nation by nation. In closing, I am happy that I will not only be carrying the mantle of my uncle for the public service he has done, but my father as well, who has touched many lives and impacted many young people during his tenure in the street. His unique van, the one with the coffin on top, was the family car. And may I say, in my formative years, I did not want to embrace it, but I am grateful for the result of it now. And I'm thankful that as many lives as he has touched, I'm only hoping to be able to touch just as many. On June the 27th, I will be launching an initiative entitled the Community Healing Project in honor of my father for the work he has done in the community. It will be held at the IBC atrium from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Please accept my personal invitation to all of you today to attend. The tickets are free. You can register on Eventbrite, but more importantly, when you come, we hope that you will bring some form of donation that will be used specifically for this effort. I was raised with integrity, and I was also raised with word is bond. And I promise and pledge to you, to those esteemed members of the council, to anyone here today, that if needed, just give a sister a holler. I'll be right there. May God ever bless you. Thank you.
Let me note that in addition to Representative Dawkins here on the podium with us is State Representative Movita Johnson Harrell, and sitting out there is Mr. Omar Sabir. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Councilor Biddies.
Take some pictures.
Thank you, and again, congratulations. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilman Jones, who presented a resolution recognizing Philadelphia Muslim community. Will Qasim Rashad and those accompanying him please join the councilman at the podium? And joining the councilman, we have Councilman Green, Councilwoman Bass, Councilman Greenlee. Councilwoman Blackwell, Parker, and Councilman Dom.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may have noticed over the last month and in particular the last several days that tens of thousands of practicing Muslims celebrated the month and the conclusion of the holy month of Ramadan. Allahu Akbar. And in doing so, brought introspection to themselves, but also awareness to others about Muslims in the city of Philadelphia and around the world. Joining me today is Brother Qasim Rashad. Here you go. All right. Zachariah Rahman, who is the founder of the Muslim Business Association, State Representative. Movita Johnson Harrell, State Representative. Jason Dawkins, who is no stranger to these chambers. Also joining us from the Father's Day Rally Committee, Bilal Qayyum, and newly minted Democratic nominee for the office of City Commissioner, Omar Sabir. Give them all a round of applause, please. So Ramadan is the most sacred month of the year in Islamic culture. Muslims observe the month of Ramadan to mark the revelation from Allah, God, that first gave the Quran to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. During Ramadan, Muslims fast, abstain from pleasures, and pray to become closer to their Lord. In so doing, and I'll skip some of this and just say that in some of this, what you can find is a sense of peace that comes over the entire city, the state, and hopefully the world. And in so doing, creating for the next 9 months an opportunity for that blessing to be bestowed upon everyone. And with that, we recognize the Philadelphia Muslim community and acknowledge May 5th, 2019, June 4th, 2019, as the holy month of Ramadan. Whereas Ramadan is considered the holiest month of the year for Muslims, as it is an opportunity for self-reflection and spiritual improvement.
And whereas Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, which is based on a 12-month lunar year of 354 days. Since the lunar year is 11 days shorter than a solar year, Ramadan can occur during different dates each year, and
whereas the observation of Ramadan usually lasts 29 to 30 days, in 2019, Ramadan is to be observed from the evening of May 5th through the evening of June 4th, and
whereas those observing Ramadan must abstain from eating or drinking from pre-dawn to sunset. Fasting is a way for Muslims to gain taqwa, which means being in a state of constant awareness of God. Fasting during Ramadan is used to teach self-control, gratitude, and compassion for those less fortunate. And
whereas during Ramadan, it is common for members of the Muslim community to gather together at the end of the day for an iftar, which means breaking the fast. Those observing Ramadan will break their fast after performing a sunset prayer. And
whereas prayer and meditation are also two major components of Ramadan. During Ramadan, extra time is to be spent reading the Quran and performing special prayers throughout the day. And
whereas at the end of Ramadan is Eid al-Fitr, which means the festival of breaking the fast. On this holiday, a special prayer is held in the morning, followed by a community celebration with food, games, and presents for children. And
whereas with over 200,000 Muslims calling Philadelphia their home, it is important that the religious significance of Ramadan to members of our community is recognized. Now, therefore, be it
resolved by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that it hereby recognizes the Philadelphia Muslim community and acknowledges May the 5th of 2019 through June the 4th of 2019 as the holy month of Ramadan. Further resolved that an engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to the esteemed leaders of Philadelphia's Muslim community as evidence of the sincere respect and admiration of this legislative body, and we want to say congratulations.
And the chair recognizes Qasim Rashad.
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Alhamdulillah. And as we say now, which marks the conclusion of Ramadan, we say Eid Mubarak. And both mean that Ramadan or Eid is a blessing. And Ramadan or the Quran, or Ramadan marks the month in which the Quran was revealed to our beloved Prophet Muhammad. It came down to him as a revelation. And there were many things that were revealed to him. But one of the things that he came to understand as a good community leader is that the best of you are those who are among you who serve the people. And that is what our illustrious city council provides for us. They are our chosen and elected city officials by people of many faiths and understanding. And so we accept this honor on behalf of all of those peoples of faith and understandings, on behalf of all of the Muslims in Philadelphia, which is somewhere around 250,000 Muslims, or what the Pew Foundation has recognized as about 15% of the city population, with over 60 masjids in this great city. I wouldn't want to put this to the test, but you can't throw a rock in Philadelphia without hitting a Muslim. That's how they recognize the plurality and the fabric that is so vast and special to all of us. So on behalf of the city, behalf of those people who say they believe, and on behalf of all of the Muslims in Philadelphia, And on behalf of our elected Muslim officials, Councilman Curtis Jones, State Rep Movita Harold Johnson, Commissioner-elect Omar Sabir, State Representative Jason Dawkins, and all of the Muslims, we really thank you for this proclamation. We really thank you for recognizing and seeing us as we see you, as human beings, and as part of the fabric of this great city. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Congratulations. Council shall be these. Thank you. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass, who will present a resolution recognizing the Chestnut Hill College. With Carol Jean Vale and those accompanying her, please join the Councilwoman at the podium. And joining the Councilwoman, we also have Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Taubenberger, Councilman O, and Councilman Squilla.
Good morning, good morning. Well, first of all, let me just start out by saying, and I don't pick favorites in my district, but I have to say that Chestnut Hill College is my favorite college in Chestnut Hill. I'm just going to put it out there. They are my absolute favorite, and we're going to recognize them today on their 95th anniversary, and I'm just so pleased and proud that they were able to join us today because we want to recognize them for all the outstanding work that they do, not just in Chestnut Hill, but throughout the entire 8th District and really in the entire city of Philadelphia throughout this region. So we just wanted to celebrate them and thank them for all of the wonderful things that they have done for our communities. And our resolution reads, recognizing and honoring Chestnut Hill College on its 95th anniversary and continued commitment to providing students with a holistic education in an inclusive community marked by academic excellence, personal and professional growth, service to one another, and to the global community. Whereas Chestnut Hill College was founded in 1924 as Mount St. Joseph's College, a Catholic four-year liberal arts college for women by the Sisters of St. Joseph's, and was later renamed in 1938 as Chestnut Hill College. And
whereas the college recognizes and honors current President Carl Jean Vale of the Sisters of St. Joseph for her 30 years of consistent service, which includes 27 years leading the college as president, and whereas in 2003, the college fully transitioned to a co-educational institution, expanding their mission of academic excellence to a wider audience, and today approximately 30% of the college's full-time undergraduate students are first-generation college students. And
whereas in the 2017-2018 academic year, minorities accounted for nearly 41% of all degree-seeking first-time, first-year students, and in 2018, the college was recognized by College Magazine as one of the top colleges in Philadelphia. Additionally, the college was inducted into Chestnut Hill Conservancy's Architectural Hall of Fame in 2018. And whereas the college is one of 7 Greater Philadelphia higher educational institutions recognized as a, quote, college of distinction, end quote, for its, quote, engaged students, great teaching, vibrant communities, and successful outcomes, end quote, and
whereas the college provides a rigorous liberal arts program that continues to be updated and modified to meet the ever-changing needs and demands of society and higher education, even as recently as this year, where the college added 3 new undergraduate majors: law and legal studies, health sciences, cybersecurity, which is one of the first programs of its kind in Philadelphia. And
whereas since its founding, the college has produced more than 15,000 alumni and continues to grow this network with individuals that are daring, bold, innovative, and informed thinkers who embody the spirit of the college: professional and personal excellence, inclusivity, global awareness, faith, charity, integrity, justice, and knowledge. Therefore be it
resolved by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that we hereby recognize and honor Chestnut Hill College on its 95th anniversary and continued commitment to providing students with a holistic education in an inclusive community marked with academic excellence, personal and professional growth, service to one another and to the global community. Further resolved that an engrossed copy of this resolution shall be presented to Carol Jean Vale, SSJ, President of the College, as evidence of the sincere respect and admiration of this legislative body. Congratulations.
The chair recognizes Ms. Vale for remarks.
Thank you, Council President Clark and Councilwoman Cindy Bass, our councilwoman, for honoring Chestnut Hill College on the occasion of its 95th anniversary. We have always treasured our connection to Philadelphia. It is our home as a college. It is the home of our founders, the Sisters of St. Joseph, and it is the home of numerous alumni. Change has been a hallmark of Chestnut Hill from its inception. Founded in 1924 as Mount St. Joseph College, it changed its name to distinguish itself from St. Joseph College. As usual, a woman changed its name.
Established as an undergraduate college for 17 to 23-year-old women, the college over time opened its doors to adult undergraduate students, graduate students, doctoral students, and finally, in 2003, undergraduate men. Traditional semesters for adult learners gave way to accelerated programs. The long-established college lecture is now complemented by online programs, both hybrid and fully online. From its founding, the college has stressed educating the whole person, mind, body, heart, and spirit, in an inclusive Catholic community. We have witnessed a century of remarkable progress, and we have been committed to embracing change on our campus, particularly those that have expanded opportunities for women and minorities. All are welcome on our campus, which has been recognized as a college of distinction and one of the top 10 colleges in Philadelphia. We're proud to serve a diverse student body, 41% of whom are minority and nearly 30% of whom are first-generation students. Welcoming students from around the globe, the campus is a microcosm of the global community, where we provide the opportunity for students to encounter and learn from young people from across the world and from states across the nation. Our students are engaged in numerous outreach programs to assist those in need with a helping hand. They tutor younger students in local schools, serve meals to the homeless, help with special community projects in Philadelphia and Camden, grow fresh produce for food banks, provide assistance to older neighbors in Chestnut Hill, participate in fundraising projects for worthy causes, join in annual service trips to Africa, work among the less fortunate in Appalachia, and serve willingly wherever a need arises. In the spirit of the Sisters of St. Joseph, our students are ready for any and every good work. Ladies and gentlemen of City Council, thank you for this immense honor and recognition today. Thank you also for the service that you give to the people of our beloved city of Philadelphia. May God bless each of you with whatever you most need at this time in your lives. Thank you.
Council, be at ease. How you doing, man? How you been, man? Good, good. Thank you. And again, congratulations to all of our honorees. Next order of business is communications. And the chair requests that the Sergeant of Arms delivers the messages from the mayor to the chief clerk. And Mr. Decker, please read those messages.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, pursuant to Sections 4604 and 2307 of the Home Rule Charter, I am today transmitting to the Council the recommendation of the City Planning Commission on the following bills. Bill numbers 190152, 190153, 190250, 190304, 190305, 190306, 190307, 190308, 190311. 190312, 190313, 190354, 190356, 190357, 190359, 190360, 190361, 190362, 190379, 190380, and 190382. And I am pleased to advise you that on May 29, 2019, I signed the following bill, which was passed by council at its session on May 16, 2019, Bill number 190353. And that on June 5, 2019, I signed the remaining bills, which were passed by council at its session on May 16, 2019. And that on June 15, 2019, I signed the following bill, which was passed by council at its session on May 23, 2019, Bill number 180937A. And I am submitting herewith for the consideration of your honorable body a resolution appointing Howard Treatment to the Board of Directors of the Germantown Special Services District of Philadelphia, and a resolution appointing Rebecca Seggers to the Board of Directors of the Germantown Special Services District of Philadelphia, and a resolution appointing Gabrielle Safiati to the Board of Directors of the Germantown Special Services District of Philadelphia, and a resolution appointing Jeffrey Hill to the Board of Directors of the Germantown Special Services District of Philadelphia, and a resolution appointing Tuomi Forrest to the Board of Directors of the Germantown Special Services District of Philadelphia, and a resolution appointing Rex Barr to the Board of Directors of the Germantown Special Services District of Philadelphia, and a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Kensington North of Lehigh redevelopment area identified by house number and street address as 2559 East Monmouth Street, and a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the new Kensington Fishtown urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 2515 Salmon Street, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to dispose of certain properties located in the 5th Councilmanic District, which will be transferred by the city to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority by conveyance of such properties to the Philadelphia Land Bank, and a resolution approving the fiscal year 2020 rebuild project statement and budget pursuant to Bill number 170206, and an ordinance authorizing the City of Philadelphia to enter into lease agreements with the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development under which the city would lease to paid on a project-by-project basis certain land and facilities in the Fairmount Park system, recreation centers, playgrounds, and branches in the Free Library of Philadelphia system, and which would permit paid to sublease such facilities on a project-by-project basis to other organizations in conformity with the Economic Development Financing Law. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development all or a portion of a parcel or parcels of land in and about the area bounded by Frankfurt Avenue, East Butler Street, Buckier Street, and Haverford Avenue for further conveyance. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a lease agreement with EOM Athletic Association Incorporated for use by EOM of all or a portion of the premises located at 144 Moore Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into an amendment to a lease agreement with Red Gap Limited Partnership for use by the city of all or portion of the premises located at 4000 North American Street, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. You have any additional communications?
I have none, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And our next order of business will be our introduction of bills and resolutions. And the chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. I'd like to mention that on the first resolution, I want to say thank you to Councilman Derek Green, who is a wise colleague, in that he's surrounded by Girl Side girls who are also Deltas. And in that spirit, we want to salute the principal of Girls High School, also a Girl Side girl. Thank you, Mr. President, and I have one bill.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance amending Title VI of the Philadelphia Code entitled Health Code by adding a new Chapter 6311 entitled Children's Meals at Food Service Establishments.
Refer to committee.
And a privilege resolution recognizing Parthenia A. Moore for her lifetime of service to Philadelphia students and her leadership of the Philadelphia High School for Girls.
This week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your behalf, I offer one bill and two resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance amending Section 14303 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Common Procedures and Requirements to by allowing certain letters submitted to the zoning board to serve as an entry of appearance.
Refer to committee.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1901 through 09 North 33rd Street and 1911 through 15 North 33rd Street located in the 5th Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fee simple title to certain city-owned lots or pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situate in the 16th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
Also, next week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Henon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. 3 privileged resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privilege resolution recognizing and celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Father's Day Rally Committee and their efforts and initiatives that have positively impacted the quality of life of African American communities and men of color in the City of Philadelphia and the Delaware Valley region.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing the 10th anniversary of World Sickle Cell Awareness Day and declaring June 19, 2019 as Sickle Cell Awareness Day in the City of Philadelphia.
Also this week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and honoring West Philly's own Julian Williams, the new international super welterweight boxing champion.
This week's calendar. Next week. What? Next week. I was looking at the councilman. He was here. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. And the chair recognizes Councilman Johnson. Is Councilman Johnson not here? Chair recognizes Councilwoman Kiona Sanchez.
Good morning, Council President. I have one bill.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into an amendment to a lease agreement with Red Gap Limited Partnership for use by the City of Philadelphia of all or a portion of the premises located at 4000 North American Street.
Further committee. Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
Good morning, Council President. I have one privilege resolution today.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privilege resolution recognizing June 10 through 15, 2019 as Disability Pride Week in the City of Philadelphia.
This week's calendar. Chair now recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer one privilege resolution.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
A privilege resolution recognizing and honoring Stephen Scott Bradley upon receiving Maternity Care Coalition's 2019 Driving Fatherhood Community Leader Award for his commitment to community engagement, philanthropy, and mentorship.
This week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Don.
Thank you, Council President. I offer two privileged resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privilege resolution honoring and congratulating Dave Davies on his retirement from WHYY's news desk and recognizing his excellence in journalism.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution expressing support for the new American Airlines Philadelphia to Dubrovnik non-stop flight and naming June 6, 2019 as Philadelphia Dubrovnik Friendship Day.
Also this week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you very much, Council President. I have one privilege resolution co-sponsored by Council members Blackwell, Green, Bass, Taubenberger, and Parker.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
A privilege resolution honoring and congratulating members of Drexel University's 2019 Philadelphia Teacher Residency Program cohort for their steadfast commitment to the teaching profession and Philadelphia's public school students.
This week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Thank you, Council President. I have 3 privileged resolutions that are co-sponsored by all members of council, and I have a third resolution honoring Ted Kirsch on the event of his retirement and the service he's done for the city of Philadelphia, which is co-introduced by myself, Councilwoman Parker, and Councilman Bobby Henon.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privilege resolution honoring and recognizing the Potamkin family and the Potamkin Prize for funding research into PICS, Alzheimer's, and other related diseases.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing June 6, 2019 as the 75th anniversary of the Normandy landings in World War II and honoring and recognizing the incredible bravery and sacrifice of the soldiers who risked their lives.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution honoring and recognizing Ted Kirsch on the event of his retirement and his incredible service to the teachers of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania.
Also this week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman O'Neale.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer one non-privileged resolution.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
A privilege resolution calling on City Council's Committee on Technology and Information Services to hold hearings to determine whether the city and its Office of Innovation and Technology have implemented sufficient security and are fully prepared to prevent cyber attacks and network outages that other cities and governments have recently experienced.
This week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer 3 bills and 2 non-privileged resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a lease agreement with EOM Athletic Association Incorporated for use by EOM of all or a portion of the premises located at 144 Moore Street.
Refer to committee.
And an ordinance amending Chapter 19-200 of the Philadelphia Code entitled City Funds, Deposits, Investments, Disbursements by revising the list of city depositories.
Refer to committee.
And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development all or a portion of a parcel or parcels of land in and about the area bounded by Frankfurt Avenue, East Butler Street, Buckier Street, and Haverford Avenue for further conveyance.
Refer to committee.
And a non-privileged resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Kensington North of Lehigh redevelopment area, identified by house number and street address as 2559 East Monmouth Street.
Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the New Kensington Fishtown urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 2515 Salmon Street.
Next week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll offer one privileged resolution, one non-privileged resolution on your behalf, and one bill on your behalf.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance authorizing the City of Philadelphia to enter into lease agreements with the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development under which the city would lease to paid on a project-by-project basis certain land and facilities in the Fairmount Park System, recreation centers, playgrounds, and branches in the Free Library of Philadelphia system.
Refer to committee.
And a privilege resolution honoring and recognizing Dr. Arlene Bennett, Reverend Frank Krangle, Oliver Adams, Mr. Miller, Bishop Leonard Goins, and Reverend Joseph Williams on their legacies of achievement in medicine, sports, the arts, and community service in the city of Philadelphia.
And that will be this week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution approving the fiscal year 2020 rebuild project statement pursuant to Bill number 170206.
And that will be on next week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much. I offer no bills or resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
I have one privileged resolution and one non-privileged resolution, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, sir.
One of my resolutions is also prime co-sponsored by Councilman Reynolds Brown regarding Patty LaBelle Way.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
A privilege resolution recognizing June as LGBTQ Pride Month in the city of Philadelphia.
And that will be on this week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution also naming Broad Street between Spruce and Locust Streets, Patty LaBelle Way.
And that will be on next week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilwoman. That concludes our introduction of bills and resolutions. We will now move to our reports from committee. And the chair recognizes Councilman Henon for a report from the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee of the Whole reports 5 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read those reports.
The Committee of the Whole, to which is referred Bill Number 190152, entitled An Ordinance to Adopt a Capital Program for the 6 fiscal years 2020 through 2025 inclusive, and Bill Number 190153, entitled An Ordinance to Adopt the Fiscal 2020 Capital Budget, and Bill Number 190154, entitled An Ordinance Adopting the Operating Budget for Fiscal Year 2020, and Bill Number 190155, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 19-1500 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Wage and Net Profits Tax by revising certain tax rates, and Bill Number 190317, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 19-1301 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Homestead Exclusion, to increase the amount of the homestead exclusion. Respectfully reports it as considered and amended the same, and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. The chair again recognizes Councilman Henon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit the first reading of this day to bill numbers 190152, 190153, 190154, and 190155, as well as 190317.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 190152, 190153, 190154, 190155, and 190317. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. These bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Chair now recognizes Councilman Greenlee for a report from the Committee of Law and Government.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Law and Government reports 2 bills and 1 resolution with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the report.
The Committee on Law and Government, to which is referred Bill Number 190182, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 10 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Regulation of Individual Conduct and Activity, and Title 19 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Finance, Taxes, and Collections, to impose liability and provide for the revocation of licenses for certain persons who permit human trafficking, involuntary servitude, or related unlawful activity to occur on a property or in connection with a business. And Bill Number 190290, entitled An Ordinance Providing for the Submission to the Qualified Electors of the City of Philadelphia of an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to revise city procurement procedures as approved by resolution of the City Council, and Resolution Number 190299, entitled A Resolution Proposing an Amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to revise city procurement procedures. Respectfully reports it as considered the same and returns the attached bills and resolution to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bill numbers 190182 and 190290.
Thank you. It has been moved and probably second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 190182, 190290. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And these bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Resolution number 190299 will be placed on our final passage calendar at our next session of council. Chair now recognizes Councilman Henon for a report from the Committee of Public Property and Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee of Public Property and Public Works reports 4 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Public Property and Public Works, to which is referred Bill Number 190206, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into an agreement between the city and the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority For the PRA to act as the city's agent for the marketing, competitive bidding, sale, and development as applicable of certain city-owned properties. And Bill number 190207, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to convey to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania all or a portion of a parcel or parcels of land in and about the area bounded by Tacony Street, Levick Street, Milner Street, and Barnett Street. And Bill number 190208, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to acquire fee simple title or lesser interest in real estate by purchase, dedication, donation, condemnation, agreement in lieu of condemnation, or otherwise, to parcels of land along the Delaware River and in the bed of the former Kensington and Tacony Railroad. And Bill number 190310, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of a portion of the premises located at 804 North Broad Street. Respectful reports that it's considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilman Henon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit the first reading of this day, bill numbers 190206, 190207, 190208, and 190310.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded. The rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 190206, 190207, 190208, and 190310. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. These bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. The chair now recognizes Councilman Squilla for a report from the Committee on Streets and Services.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee on Streets and Services reports 40 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, sir. You ready, Mr. Decker? Mr. Decker, I wish I could ask you to abbreviate it, but you have to read every last one, so please read the report.
The Committee on Streets and Services, to which is referred Bill number 181004, entitled an ordinance amending Title IX of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Regulation of Businesses, Trades, and Professions, by amending Chapter 9200, entitled Commercial Activities on Streets, by revising certain provisions related to street vendors and sidewalk sales, to prohibit the sale of fireworks by such vendors. And Bill number 190098, entitled an ordinance establishing a parking regulation on 13th Street, West Side, Master Street to Jefferson Street. And Bill number 190119, entitled an ordinance establishing a parking regulation on 22nd Street, West Side, Aspen Street to Brown Street. And Bill number 190185, entitled an ordinance amending Section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Bicycle Lanes, by authorizing the Department of Streets to designate a bicycle lane and to remove a travel lane on Market Street and on John F. Kennedy Boulevard, all between North 15th Street and North 20th Street. And Bill number 190211, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of South 13th Street and Dickinson Street, Federal Street and South 7th Street, Federal Street and South 10th Street, Annan Street and South 9th Street, Eisenminger Street and Moore Street, Cross Street and Marshall Street, South 13th Street, and Reed Street. And Bill number 190252, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Pennsylvania Commonwealth System of Higher Education, doing business as Temple University, Kenneth Kaiser and Thomas McCreish, to install, own, and maintain non-standard lights in the public right-of-way at 1901 through 47 North Park Avenue along the Temple University Library property frontage. And Bill number 190287, entitled an ordinance authorizing Noel Carasani, doing business as The Barn, to install, own, and maintain an open-air sidewalk cafe at 4901 Catherine Street. And Bill number 190288, entitled an ordinance authorizing Matthew Hopkins, Aimco Development, to install, own, and maintain various encroachments at 3900 Chestnut Street. And Bill number 190289, entitled an ordinance authorizing Yeshai Kedar to own and maintain an existing exterior stairway in the public right-of-way at 1501 North Front Street. And Bill number 190304, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades in a portion of City Plan number 106 by establishing a curved corner at the intersection of the westerly side of 34th Street and the northeasterly side of Mantua Avenue, and establishing a curb bump out extending along the northeasterly curb line of said Mantua Avenue from 34th Street to a point northwestwardly therefrom. And Bill number 190307, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan number 271 by placing on the City Plan a cutback area at the northwest corner of 2nd Street and Germantown Avenue. And Bill number 190309, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 9203 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Street Vendors, by prohibiting vending along certain portions of Spring Garden Street. And Bill number 190320, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 9213 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Farmers Markets, by adding a permissible location. And Bill number 190321, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 12900 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Parking Regulations and Penalties, by adding a new section 12918.1, entitled Parking for Flexible Park Auto Sharing Organizations, to provide for exemption from certain parking regulations for flexible park auto sharing organizations. And Bill number 190354, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 2 of an Ordinance, Bill number 180285, approved on June 6, 2018, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Trustees of the University of Pennsylvania to install, own, and maintain various encroachments at 1 Convention Avenue, by extending the period for compliance with the terms and conditions stated therein. And Bill number 190355, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes, to authorize bicycle lanes on Richmond Street from Lewis Street to Berkshire Street. And Bill number 190363, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes, to authorize bicycle lanes in the 1st Councilmanic District on North 10th Street from Buttonwood Street to Callowhill Street, and on Columbus Boulevard from Dilworth Street to Swanson Street. And Bill number 190364, entitled An Ordinance Establishing Parking Regulations in the Vicinity of Camac Street and Moyamensing Avenue, McKean Street and South 10th Street, Snyder Avenue to South 10th Street, Sartain Street and Mifflin Street, South Juniper Street and Jackson Street, Hoffman Street and South 7th Street, Wolf Street and South 11th Street. And Bill number 190365, entitled An Ordinance Establishing Parking Regulations in the Vicinity of South 12th Street and Passyunk Avenue, Emily Street and South 8th Street, Dudley Street and South 7th Street through South 9th Street, Winton Street and South 11th Street, South 9th Street and McKean Street, South 13th Street and Morris Street. And Bill number 190379, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 2 of an Ordinance, Bill number 170086, approved May 22, 2017, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades on a portion of City Plan number 269 by relocating portions of the house lines and curb lines of Convention Avenue from 34th Street to Health Sciences Drive, and placing on the City Plan 2 rights-of-way for drainage purposes within the vicinity of the intersection of Convention Avenue and Health Sciences Drive, by revising the terms and conditions stated therein and extending the period for compliance therewith. And Bill number 190381, entitled An Ordinance Establishing Parking Regulations in the Vicinity of North 17th Street and Francis Street, Wellington Street and Jefferson Street, Thompson Street and North 16th Street, Parish Street and Taney Street, North 23rd Street and Aspen Street, North 23rd Street and Brown Street. And Bill number 190405, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing Renee Woodland to own and maintain an existing oversized balcony in the public right-of-way at 1438 North 29th Street. And Bill number 190410, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 9213 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Farmers Markets, by adding a permissible location on South Broad Street. And Bill number 190411, entitled An Ordinance Regulating the Direction of Movement of Traffic on Certain Portions of 85th and 86th Streets, Eastwick Avenue, and Harley and Luther Places. And Bill number 190413, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Streets Commissioner and Procurement Commissioner to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority, through which the city will assume certain rights and obligations under an agreement the authority will enter into with Waste Management of Pennsylvania, Incorporated, for the processing and marketing of recyclable materials. And Bill number 190434, entitled An Ordinance Establishing a No Truck Parking Regulation on Whitby Avenue between 52nd and 53rd Streets, both sides. And Bill number 190445, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes, to authorize bicycle lanes on Germantown Avenue from North 2nd Street to Master Street. And Bill number 190449, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 11 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Streets, to prohibit the construction of bay windows and balconies in and around the Point Breeze and Grays Ferry areas of the city. And Bill number 190450, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades in a Portion of City Plan Number 15S, by placing on the city plan Alter Street from 17th Street to 18th Street in order to conform more closely with existing conditions. And Bill number 190453, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 12901 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Stopping, Standing, or Parking Prohibited at Certain Places, to permit overnight truck parking on South 11th Street between Catherine Street and Webster Street, and establish parking regulations on the same portion of South 11th Street. And Bill number 190456, entitled An Ordinance Granting Permission to Esteban Guinez, owner and operator of Los Potrillos Food Truck, located in the right-of-way on the west side of the 4200 block of G Street between East Huntington Park Avenue and East Bristol Street, to install, use, and maintain certain electrical wires, conduits, and appurtenances in, under, and over the right-of-way on the 4200 block of G Street. And Bill number 190457, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing 1201 North Franklin, doing business as the International Bar, to install, own, and maintain an open-air sidewalk cafe at 1624 North Front Street. And Bill number 190458, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing Antonio Perez to construct, own, and maintain a proposed exterior stairway at 1801 North Hancock Street. And Bill number 190462, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 11 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Streets, to authorize placement of wayfinding signs in the right-of-way. And Bill number 190463, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 12 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Traffic Code, to revise various provisions related to the on-street parking system. And Bill number 190464, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 11203, subparagraph 3 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Sewer and Water Pipe and Other Underground Service, to authorize revision of the length of time during which a permit to maintain a plumber's ditch remains valid. And Bill number 190465, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes, to authorize a bicycle lane on North 2nd Street from Wood Street to Race Street. And Bill number 190467, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 122809 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Civil Penalties and Costs, by amending penalties for certain parking, standing, or stopping violations. And Bill number 190468, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Streets Commissioner and Procurement Commissioner to enter into an agreement with Covanta Sustainable Solutions, pursuant to which Covanta will receive municipal solid waste to be collected by or on behalf of the city and transfer and dispose of that municipal solid waste. And Bill number 190469, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Streets Commissioner and Procurement Commissioner to enter into an agreement with Waste Management of Pennsylvania Incorporated, pursuant to which Waste Management will receive municipal solid waste to be collected by or on behalf of the city and transfer and dispose of that municipal solid waste. Respectfully reports it as considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
All right. Thank you. Let's give Mr. Decker a hand. Thank you. The chair again recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of the council be suspended as to permit the first reading this day of those 40 bills that the clerk, Mr. Decker, just read into the record. Thank you.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of the bills that were just read into the record by the clerk. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And these bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Chair now recognizes Councilman Jones for a report from the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development.
I gotta call you back. Sorry, Mr. President.
No problem, sir.
Thank you. The Committee on Commerce and Economic Development has one bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Commerce and Economic Development, to which is referred Bill number 190438, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development properties located at 4910 Botanic Avenue, 5014 Grays Avenue, 5027 Grays Avenue, and 2639 South 58th Street, and further authorizing paid to reconvey a portion of the property at 4910 Botanic Avenue to the City of Philadelphia. all under and subject to the terms and conditions of the Philadelphia Industrial and Commercial Development Agreement among the city, PAID, and the Philadelphia Industrial Development Corporation, PIDC. Respectfully reports it as considered the same and returns the attached bill to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Again, thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of this bill number 190438.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so after amendment first reading this day of bills number 190438. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and this bill will be placed on our first reading calendar today. That concludes our reports on committee, and our next order of business is consideration of the calendar. I note that the bills just reported from the committee with the suspension of the rules have been deemed to have had a first reading. These bills will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. As there are no additional bills on the first reading calendar, the chair recognizes Councilman Henon for the purpose of calling up bills and resolutions that are on our final passage calendar today.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following resolutions and bills are being called up for the second reading and final passage calendars today. They are bill numbers 190478, 190482, 190483, 190255-A, 181063, 190099, and 190314. All other bills and resolutions are being held.
Thank you, Councilman. So before considering the resolutions and bills, we will have our public comment session. It will go as follows. When your name is called, you will go to the podium in the middle of the council session. There's a device on that podium. When the light turns green, it will be your time to speak. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. When the light turns red, we ask you to please adhere to our guidelines and conclude your remarks. You will be given 3 minutes to speak on a bill or resolution that is on the final passage today. Thank you very much for your anticipated cooperation. Mr. Decker, please call the first name on the list.
Maris Berquist. Commenting on 180936.
Yes,
Good
good
afternoon.
afternoon, President Clark and City Council members. Thank you very much for this opportunity for me to offer my strong support for the bill just mentioned, number 180936. My name is Maris Berquist. I am the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Fair Housing Center in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and I have approximately 20 years representing victims of housing discrimination. And since my time is limited, I'm just going to go into what I consider to be the two major problems that, that we have with our Massachusetts childhood lead poisoning prevention law, which are similar to the existing Philadelphia Lead Disclosure Act. So both laws use the presence of a child under the age of 6 as a trigger for mandatory lead abatement by landlords. And what this has done in Massachusetts since our law was enacted in 1971 is create systemic housing discrimination. The law incentivizes housing discrimination. Landlords find it almost irresistible to avoid renting to families with children rather than engage in de-leading activity. And I offer you my experience on this point, representing multiple victims of housing discrimination based on lead paint, but you don't have to take my word for it because it has been well documented in our state by our state attorney general, our Department of Housing and Community Development, the Boston Globe has covered it, legal scholars have covered it, and landlords have even freely admitted it. So this illegal housing discrimination causes another unintended consequence that is also harmful. Our childhood lead prevention law was intended to prevent childhood lead poisoning universally. Childhood lead poisoning, as I'm sure you know, is a completely preventable condition with devastating, irreparable consequences for young children. And the statistics in Massachusetts tell the story about how our law has not been effective in reducing childhood exposure to lead paint. Massachusetts has the 4th oldest housing stock in the nation, and only 10% of this housing stock has undergone any abatement activity, 10% in the last 45 years. So at this rate, we may achieve universal lead abatement and a reduction of childhood exposure to lead paint in residential housing in centuries to come. So I want to conclude by saying that this amendment will fix the problems that I've identified, and thank you very much for my time.
Thank you for your testimony.
George Gould, commenting on 180936.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Council President. My name is George Gould. I'm an attorney with Community Legal Services, and let me follow up with Maris on Bill 180936. One of the things that this bill will do is deal with the problem of discrimination against families with children. This is a bill that amends the current Philadelphia lead paint ordinance, which requires a lead safe certification be given to tenants with families 6 or under. And we believe there's 3 major problems. One of them is the clear discrimination that goes on against these families from renting. But second is the lack of enforcement, because the health department has no idea where families with 6 or under are living. And of the estimated 27,000 families who live in Philadelphia with children 6 or only about 7,000, or less than a third, have had lead safe certifications. The second problem is that tenants move around with their families. They may go to relatives where they're not children 6 or under are living, and that can clearly be problematic, as they have all sorts of problems that may exist in those properties. The third point I want to make, and this is very important, when this bill went to committee, there was testimony from Baltimore, which has a somewhat similar bill, and in Baltimore the effect has been not, as landlords have said, that it would be an astronomical rent increases. In fact, for landlords who keep their properties in minimal conditions, it has only maybe been, a couple $100 expense. For landlords who don't, they should fix their properties up, and this bill would require them to do it. I want to thank Councilwoman Reynolds Brown and her staffer, Julian Thompson, for the many, many months of working on this bill, and I think we have come up with a terrific product, and I urge City Council to move ahead and adopt the bill. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Angela Melver.
Thank you all. My name is actually Angela McIver. Good afternoon, Council President, Council members, and especially to Councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown. I'm Angela McIver, Chief Executive Officer of the Fair Housing Rights Center in Southeastern Pennsylvania. Our mission is to ensure equal access to housing opportunities for all people. For 31 years, the Fair Housing Amendments Act has covered families with children. Advocates and activists have been working with policymakers and fighting for or against social and public policies that make housing unavailable to families with children. When housing is unavailable to families with children, it's not just about housing. Limiting housing options relegate families with children to segregated neighborhoods that were and remain redlined by lenders, insurance companies, economic investors. We know that where you live determines so much about you, including access to opportunities that encompass health, education, recreation, economics, and merchandise. Some victims of housing discrimination experience trauma and stress-related disorders that can present in many ways. According to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual number 5, adults and children under 6 years can experience an array of psychological responses that negatively affect how an individual's mind and body operate during periods of exposure to stressful events. It is one thing to deny families with children access to properties, but it's another thing when families with children learn that they were denied access to housing of their choice. Coping with housing discrimination is not easy, nor should it be acceptable as long as there are federal, state, and local laws that are against discrimination and prohibit treating people different because of their unique characteristics and circumstances. I encourage council to vote in favor of a bill and then educate voters about expanding legislation that broadens housing opportunities and improves living conditions for the lives of families with children. Thank you for an opportunity to address this body.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Emily Dowdle. Commenting on 180936.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Emily Dowdle, and I'm Policy Director for Reinvestment Fund's Data and Policy Team. We're a Philadelphia-based nonprofit that has financed more than 15,000 rental units and has helped council members and city departments use data to inform policy and neighborhood investment. As you deliberate the city's lead regulations, I offer a few points related to projected housing market impacts. The bottom line is that compliance costs and their impact on rents and total units available are likely more limited than estimated by the AEG study commissioned by a local landlord group. The AEG study is based on snapshots of the city's housing stock through 2015. Ordinarily, a few years data lag isn't critical because housing stock changes slowly. But the last few years in Philadelphia are a different story. From 2015 to 18, there were more than 10,000 new housing units permitted in multifamily structures, and 2017 and 18 had among the highest permitting levels in the last 15 years. At the same time, city data shows that roughly 1,000 units have been demolished each year, many of them older properties with lead. These changes have likely significantly reduced the incidence of lead in the city. Also, in just the last few years, the city's landlord-tenant court has been more proactive in ensuring landlords filing evictions have the required certifications, including the lead-safe certificate. With approximately 20,000 eviction filings a year, it's reasonable to expect that a number of units have been recently abated. The AEG study makes assumptions about what landlords would do in response to the ordinance, like raising rents or taking units off the markets, based on very limited data that doesn't meet the standards of scientific evidence. It also predicts that the cost of lead abatement will force landlords to forgo maintenance and renovations, an odd claim when eliminating lead is itself a critical maintenance and renovation activity. Research from Trenton found that the lead abatement work there had additional benefits, including the reduction of energy bills and asthma triggers. As to whether landlords can afford the repairs, it's likely that some can more than others, but important to note that research also finds lead abatement raises the value of property more than 3 times over and above the cost of the abatement, indicating a potential to finance repairs based on increased equity. Finally, the AEG study is all about cost, but there are many benefits. For example, some landlords may now avoid renting to households with children, and changing the law would end that. So in closing, the AEG study likely overstates the costs and consequences of expanding the lead protections and is silent on its benefits. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Joe Cox, commenting on 180936.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. My name is Joe Cox. I support initiatives to promote lead safety. We need to do more. While we are at it, look at the conditions of crumbling libraries and schools. Reduced hours and staff. This shouldn't be. Schools that make kids sick shouldn't be allowed. We need to actually look out for the most vulnerable. A library is more than a library, it is a community hub. We need more, not less. Libraries are safe spaces for many people, so many people rely on libraries. Amend the budget. We need to demand full and fair funding for the libraries and schools now. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Russell Hicks, commenting on 181063.
Good afternoon.
Greetings and good afternoon. I'm here to testify on Bill 181063. authorizing construction of a liquefied natural gas facility. My name is Russell Anthony Hicks, CEO of Ebony Sons Enterprises, LLC. Some of you know me from my own youth ministry and economic development and impact on youth and families in regards to bringing young men specifically from the block to the boardroom, now through the green economy. I stand here today as a climate change fellow and staff community organizing with power. Philadelphians organize to witness, empower, and rebuild. We stand with our coalition for a just and equitable transition to 100% renewable energy and stand with our coalition for a just and equitable Philadelphia. Power is made up of 50 active interfaith congregations across Philadelphia representing more than 30,000 families. We fight for racial, economic, and environmental justice. We have joined dozens of organizations around the city to oppose the Plant LNG project and the press for the city to plan a just transition to the use of 100% renewable energy to heat buildings across Philadelphia. Long story short, renewable energy is clean and new. Alternative energy is yucky, the yucky stuff, old and dirty and antiquated. And we need not to invest in those old infrastructures. We thank and grateful to the council persons, Helen Gim for her leadership, Councilperson Curtis Jones for committing to voting no on the LNG project. We want to work with all leadership and city council to give data-driven strategies around how to create green jobs through transitioning our energy systems. I want to quickly share a personal story that's near and dear to our families. Last week, in the midst of the 3-day torrential rainstorm, storm waters flooding, damaged schools, specifically the oil tank underneath the playground at the C.W. Henry School. This created a swell of oil that covered the playground for 3 days. We were lucky that this happened at night and not during the school, so children were not exposed to toxic chemicals. While school district did a phenomenal job in addressing this situation, this experience is a perfect example of what's to come with climate crisis. My son is in first grade. I do not want to get that call in the middle of the day to evacuate kids from any high school because of climate disasters and fuel. In closing, we would like to work with City Council at large to expand energy efficient programs to create a new green economy. Philadelphia needs a Green New Deal for Philadelphia, and not to get cut out like the last Green New Deal. And we look forward to working with you on these data-driven strategies for renewable legislation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mitchell Chain. Commenting on 181063.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity to testify. Thank you so much, Russell, for your testimony. You've heard a lot about this liquefied natural gas bill over the past several weeks. I wanted to share a couple of additional thoughts that I think may be helpful to you. I also want to make clear that the amendment that was introduced today does not in any way alleviate the concerns or objections that people have had about this bill. In order to protect a livable climate, we need to dramatically reduce and eliminate the use of all fossil fuels within 10, 20, 25 years maximum. And we need to dramatically reduce the use of natural gas as a fossil fuel over the next several years. I understand that there's a serious crisis of energy affordability in Philadelphia. Many thousands of Philadelphians cannot afford to pay their bills. I understand that the LNG project has been put forward as a strategy to bring some additional revenue to PGW, which will help to alleviate that problem. However, the project can only be profitable if there is not serious action over the next several years to reduce the use of natural gas. And so approving the LNG project essentially is betting against the policies that are necessary in order to protect a livable climate. And it puts Philadelphia absolutely on the wrong side of history. Policies are already gathering momentum in cities and states across the country, and God willing, if we have a new administration in Washington in 2021, we'll begin to move towards a large-scale Green New Deal at the federal level. I want to read just 3 sentences from a press release from the mayor of Los Angeles, who recently, with others in the city, decided to cancel plans to rebuild old natural gas power plants in the city. Instead, they're going to take them offline and replace them with renewable energy. Mayor Eric Garcetti said in this press release, quote, "This is the beginning of the end of natural gas in Los Angeles. The climate crisis demands that we move more quickly to end dependence on fossil fuel, and that's what today is all about." He was joined by Michael Bloomberg, not exactly a radical, billionaire Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York, who said, and I'm almost done, "Science increasingly shows that the days of seeing gas as a bridge fuel are coming to an end. We need to accelerate the transition to clean energy, and LA's commitment to helping lead the way is an important sign of progress." So which side is Philadelphia going to be on? Are we going to join people like Michael Bloomberg and Eric Garcetti, or are we going to support the profits of an industry that's outdated, that's harming our health, that's threatening to wreck the climate and ruin the future for our children? Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Karen Melton, commenting on 181063.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Karen Melton. I live in East Falls, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Southeast Pennsylvania Sierra Club. I want to comment on one paragraph, the whereas paragraph of the amendment that was introduced today to Bill 181063, creating a LNG gas plant. It talked about combating energy insecurity. This financial argument for building the plant was made at a hearing of the Gas Commission in December. PGW representatives testified that it would be an important new source of revenue, helping PGW limit future rate increases. However, the energy consultant hired by PGW's public advocate to review the proposal disputed the revenue numbers, saying the projections are based on unachievable sales and price estimates. This is one of the reasons that City Controller Rebecca Reinhardt, who is a member of the Gas Commission, voted against the proposal. The project assumes gas prices will remain strong for the next 25 years, as Mitch mentioned. PGW is betting and wants you to bet that there will be no policies enacted to address global warming by transitioning against fossil fuels. If revenue from this project was used to limit future rate increases, we estimate the amount at somewhere between 25 cents and 66 cents per month for a customer. The whereas clause also says that this is an environmentally sound project that will reduce emissions. This was said by the Philadelphia Energy Authority, despite repeated requests for them to explain how they concluded that a new fossil fuel project planned to operate for 25 years and generate 1 billion gallons of LNG is going to reduce emissions. There has been no response. There's been talk about oil-fired electric generating plants in Philadelphia, as if the LNG plant is intended to displace them with gas generators. And there are several plants in Philadelphia that burn oil to produce electricity, but they are very rarely even turned on. This LNG is not needed or intended to be used in Philadelphia. PGW already has a surplus of LNG that it produces and sells. It wants to produce and sell more. There is no credible analysis we could uncover showing the plant will reduce emissions. So I ask you please to join your two colleagues, Gim and Jones, who have already decided to vote no on Bill 181063.
Thank you for your testimony.
Lynn Landers, commenting on 190074.
Good afternoon.
Hello, my name is Lynn Landis. I'm an 18-year resident of Philadelphia and the founder of the Wild Foodies of Philly in 2010, an educational meetup that features more than 4,600 members. We are one of the largest foraging meetups in the United States. The Boy Scouts of America teach young boys and girls about nature and how to survive in the wild, and in that regard, the Wild Foodies of Philly are performing much the same service in our urban environment. We are dedicated to educating the public about our wild world and its uses for food, fiber, and medicine. And to that end, we have a resource website at wildfoodies.org that provides a substantial amount of information, including plant profiles of over 200 local, wild, edible plants, vines, bushes, and trees. Why is it important to learn about our wild world and its uses? Because our wild world is the only truly sustainable source of food, fiber, and medicine that we have. Cultivated crops are dependent on human assistance to reproduce, whereas wild plants are not. For a society to rely on cultivated crops for its only source of food is to create a serious risk where one need not exist. Add to that the fact that we import much of our food from far away, and we have now created a situation ripe for any natural or man-made disaster. Therefore, education and the use of wild plants, including invasive plants, is vital to our emergency preparedness, as well as a common sense approach to feeding and caring for our population. To that end, farmers need not abandon their crops in favor of wild plants, but they can certainly learn to co-harvest them, because many of our most valuable and nutritious edible plants, such as amaranth, purslane, and lamb's quarters, like to grow near the fields and between the rows of cultivated plants. Increasingly, grocery stores, farmers markets, and others are featuring wild edible plants, but much more needs to be done. We need to educate the general public, particularly our school children. When young people realize that our wild world has important uses, that makes them care so much about the world around them. An important partner to have in this educational process is Philadelphia Parks and Rec, and I look forward to working with them on this subject. However, first, it would be very helpful if they stopped using toxic herbicides in the park. Neither the public, nor the Boy Scouts, nor the Wild Foodies are going to be able to safely nibble on dandelions or eat the berries if they've been sprayed with a toxic herbicide. And that occurred in the last 2 weeks at Lemon Hill and Kelly Drive. I look forward to visiting you with some wild foods in the near future and hope you visit our website at wildfoodies.org. Thank you very much.
Mr. Decker, hold on 1 second. Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to leave council for a little while. I'd like to be recorded aye on all bills, resolutions, and amendments in case I don't get back in time.
Thank you, Councilman. Record shall reflect that. Go ahead, Mr. Decker.
Joe Denahel, commenting on 190027, 190482, and 190483.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hang on a second. Okay, good afternoon. This is an official decree of the people and writ mandamus quo warranto, and as such requires immediate action remedy. Every week, council, mayor, governor, and others transfer private property to the government, probably illegally. 75 years ago, men of honor performed their known duty or task, many for the last time. Would they believe that this ultimate sacrifice was honored and respected by a government that has opposed and denied trial by jury 9 times, stolen my home, stolen my just compensation? They fought to uphold the Constitution and laws that this government is violating. The Attorney General talks about accountability to others, yet appears to hold himself above the law. Why hasn't the state police, the sheriff, or the Philadelphia police arrested any official? Would people volunteer to serve overseas knowing their government was stealing their neighbor's home? The constitutions require immediate remedy of this breach of law, breach of laws, breach of fiduciary duty. Your oath of office requires you to act or face prison. 42 U.S.C. 1982, 1983, 1985, 1986, 1987. 18 U.S.C. 241, 242, 23A1, 23A4. PA Constitution Articles 1 through 28. 26 PA CSA 703, 705, 708, 709, 711, 712, 713, 716, 902, and other laws listed in SCOTUS 158965, 141330, 144056 appear violated. I call on the federal and Commonwealth governments to perform their constitutional obligations to investigate and prosecute all involved in the theft and the legal deed transfer of my home, 1038 West Wyoming Avenue, the denial of God-given 42 U.S.C. 1982 property rights for 25 years is egregious, extraordinary, oath-violating, and requires immediate remedy. A just government must obey the rule of law. This color of law government must have its charter to govern revoked until a constitutionally compliant government is installed. Public servants cannot refuse their sworn duty to act any more than a fireman can refuse to fight a fire. The sovereign people require oath, constitution, and law be enforced, and jail is required for all who violate oath, constitution, or law. I remind council, it takes a lot of cooperation to create and allow this ongoing, continuous, insidious, monumental corruption.
Thank you.
There are no other speakers in the public comment
Okay,
list,
since there
Mr.
are no
Chairman.
one else signed up to provide public comment, and today seeing none, this concludes our public comment period. We will now consider the bills and resolutions on the second reading and final passage calendars. Clerk, would you please read the title of resolution number 190478?
A resolution also naming King Sessing Avenue between 61st Street and Cemetery Avenue, Paulette Roan Place, to honor the life and legacy of Miss Paulette Roan, founder and president of the Friends of Mount Moriah Cemetery.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson for a motion on the resolution.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Clerk, would you please read the title of resolution number 190482?
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the South Central urban renewal area identified by house numbers and street addresses as 1035 South 6th Street, 1037 South 6th Street, and 1028 South Fairhill Street.
Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee on behalf of Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly second for the resolution be adopted. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Clerk, would you please read the title of resolution number 190483, please?
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Kensington north of Lehigh redevelopment area identified by house number and street address as 2250 East Cambria Street.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee on behalf of Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly second that the resolution be adopted. All in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Clerk, would you please read the title of bill number 190255-A?
An ordinance amending Section 9205 of the Philadelphia Code and relating to sidewalk sales by adding new provisions prohibiting sidewalk sales in the 10th Councilmanic District and making other conforming amendments.
This bill has been read on 2 different days. The question now is, shall the bill be passed finally? Clerk, would you please read the roll?
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Blackwell. Councilman Dom. Councilman Green? Councilman Greenlee? Councilwoman Gim? Councilman Johnson? Councilman Jones? Councilman O'Neal? Councilman O? Councilwoman Parker? Councilwoman Conan Sanchez? Councilwoman Reynolds Brown? Councilman Squilla is voting aye. Councilman Taubenberger? Chairman Henon?
Aye. What's the count? 15. The ayes are 15. The nays are 1. The majority of members of having voted in the affirmative, the bill passes. Clerk, would you please read the... Chair recognizes Councilman John.
Thank you,
Jones.
Mr. Chairman. I'd like to be recorded aye on that vote, the last vote.
Clerk, would you please make sure that the record reflects that Councilman Jones is in the affirmative aye on bill number
I'll talk to you before that. Okay. That's when I started remembering that. Okay.
190255-A. The ayes will be 16, the nays will be 1. So we did him here. So we're going all the way back.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that I am personally voting aye on all bills and resolutions that I missed during the course of my absence. Mr. Decker, I believe our next number is 181063.
An ordinance authorizing the Philadelphia Gas Works by Philadelphia Facilities Management Corporation, Philadelphia Municipal Authority, and the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into certain transactions and contracts regarding a liquefied natural gas project on property and facilities owned by the City of Philadelphia and operated by the Philadelphia Gas Works, including certain leases and licenses and contracts related to the purchase of natural gas.
Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
I move that bill number 18063 be amended. Copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council.
There's been a second on the amendment. All in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. The amendment to 181063 has been approved. 181063 will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. Mr. Decker, 190099.
An ordinance amending Chapter 16300 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Maintenance and Supervision by adding a new section requiring that all city buildings and facilities install and maintain life-sustaining medical equipment, including automated external defibrillators and advanced first aid kits, and requiring the installation of automated external defibrillators in connection with capital projects.
Chair recognizes Councilman Henon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to offer an amendment to bill number 190099. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council, and I move for the adoption of the amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and probably second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Bill number 190099 has been amended. It will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Mr. President, I have to depart so I'd like to be recorded as voting aye on all bills and resolutions.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. The record shall reflect that, and leave of absence is granted. Mr. Decker, 190314.
An ordinance authorizing transfers and appropriations for fiscal year 2019 from the general fund, certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions, the grants revenue fund, certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions, to the general fund, certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions, and the special gasoline tax fund, certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions.
Thank you. This bill has been heard on 2 separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Blackwell. Councilman Dom. Councilman Green. Councilman Greenlee. Councilwoman Gim. Councilman Henon. Councilman Johnson is voting aye. Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neal. Councilman O. Councilwoman Parker. Councilwoman Gunnarina Sanchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. Councilman Squilla is voting aye. Councilman Taubenberger. Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 17, the nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, do you have any additional resolutions?
A resolution recognizing Parthenia A. Moore for her lifetime of service to Philadelphia students and her leadership of the Philadelphia High School for Girls, introduced by Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. That resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Father's Day Rally Committee and their efforts and initiatives that have positively impacted the quality of life of African American communities and men of color in the city of Philadelphia and the Delaware Valley region, introduced by Councilman Jones.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing the 10th anniversary of World Sickle Cell Awareness Day and declaring June 19, 2019 as Sickle Cell Awareness Day in the city of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilman Jones.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you again, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring West Philly's own Julian Williams, the new international super welterweight boxing champion, introduced by Councilman Jones.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Mr. President, we move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Councilman, I heard he lived in North Philadelphia at some point in time, is what I was told.
Yeah, then he moved up.
All right. Oh, I'll remember that the next time.
up the way.
I remember that the next time you come across the bridge, sir. That's okay.
Just up the way.
It's a good one. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And a resolution recognizing June as LGBTQ Pride Month in the city of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilman Johnson.
Johnson, you want to move for this? Anybody? Councilman Jones. Yeah.
On behalf of Councilman Johnson, I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and probably second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing June 10 through the 15, 2019 as Disability Pride Week in the city of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilman Green.
Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring Stephen Scott Bradley upon receiving Maternity Care Coalition's 2019 Driving Fatherhood Community Leader Award for his commitment to community engagement, philanthropy, and mentorship, introduced by Councilwoman Parker.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating Dave Davies on his retirement from WHYY's news desk and recognizing his excellence in journalism, introduced by Councilman Dom.
Chair recognizes Councilman Dom.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. That resolution is adopted.
And a resolution expressing support for the new American Airlines Philadelphia to Dubrovnik non-stop flight and naming June 6, 2019 as Philadelphia Dubrovnik Friendship Day, introduced by Councilman Dom.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Dom.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating members of Drexel University's 2019 Philadelphia Teacher Residency Program cohort for their steadfast commitment to the teaching profession and Philadelphia Public School students, introduced by Councilwoman Gim.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you very much, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing the Potamkin family and the Potamkin Prize for funding research into PICS, Alzheimer's, and other related diseases, introduced by Councilman Taubenberger.
Chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing June 6, 2019 as the 75th anniversary of the Normandy landings in World War II, also known as D-Day, and honoring and recognizing the incredible bravery and sacrifice of the soldiers who risked their lives, introduced by Councilman Taubenberger.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Thank you very much. And before I ask for the adoption of the resolution, I would just like to say how important that was to the world, what Americans did there today. On this very day, 75 years before. There were many Philadelphians involved, many young people. There were ages from 17 up to, there were generals that actually landed on the beaches. They changed Europe. They brought democracy to Germany, which before hadn't had any, and I think the world should long remember what they did on that very special day. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing Ted Kirsch on the event of his retirement and his incredible service to the teachers of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, introduced by Councilman Taubenberger.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution calling on City Council's Committee on Technology and Information Services to hold public hearings to determine whether the city and its Office of Innovation and Technology have implemented sufficient security and are fully prepared to prevent cyber attacks and network outages that other cities and governments have recently experienced, introduced by Councilman O'Neal.
Chair recognizes Councilman O'Neal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing Dr. Arlene Bennett, Reverend Frank Krangle, Oliver Adams, Nate Mr. Miller, Bishop Leonard Goins, and Reverend Joseph Williams on their legacies of achievement in medicine, sports, the arts, and community service in the city of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilwoman Bass.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. Speeches on behalf of the minority. Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much. I too want to just honor those who served in World War II, particularly on this day, 75 years ago, D-Day. I've had the honor and the pleasure of being the chairman of the Hayjack-Moken chapter, 82nd Airborne Division. The chapter is named after two Philadelphians, Henry Hayjack and Edward Moken, both parachuted into Europe. Our chapter is named after them. And I've had the pleasure, as many here in council have had, of meeting Wild Bill Guarneri, Babe Heffron, who served in the 101st Airborne Division, the Screaming Eagles, and I know that many here, particularly the mayor, was involved in raising funds to place a statue in their memory, and I'm proud to have helped in raising funds for a statue for Wild Bill Guarneri. All of these young men and all the women that served, there are just a few left. And so this is probably the last opportunity for us to really recognize their service and sacrifice. The next large celebration will be 100 years. The average age right now is 96. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker on behalf of the majority.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just quickly wanted to take this opportunity to thank members of Council's Committee on Labor and Civil Service, Vice Chair Councilman O'Neal, and members Dom, Green, Gim, Sanchez, and Taubenberger, and just to quickly remind people that we will, convene immediately following Council's recess, and will take us about a few minutes because there's only one person scheduled to testify. So thank you, committee members, all for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you very much, Council President. I just wanted to be also very brief, but I hope and urge all of my council members to read the Plainview Project's exposure about police departments across the country, but specifically the Philadelphia Police Department, and racist and violent posts that were made by active duty police officers, including against one of our own members on this very body. And this is an urgent reminder that this council does need to take a good hard look at police accountability, violence, and the intersection with racism. This was a council that bolstered the Police Advisory Commission, gave them the money to give them the powers to do what they need to do. And it also needs to be the council that continues to bolster public accountability over a police force because it matters to the public trust and because we know that people are harmed when this does not happen. The despicable and disturbing public rhetoric by active duty police officers is terrifying for community policing and is going to break the public trust. And I do urge that everyone reads that as well as the ACLU's op-ed that talks about the Philadelphia Police Department has a racism problem. These are not things that we can run away from. They're things that we have to confront. Our communities demand it, they deserve it, and our public trust will be built off of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Dom.
Thank you, Council President. Yesterday was a big day for many of our city leaders through the collaborative effort of my office and the CAO. A negotiation training boot camp was offered to decision makers in the administration and department heads. The first of its kind, it's a 2-week training session which will provide city agencies with the tools to strongly negotiate contracts, develop policies, and navigate conversations with outside parties. During the training, each participant has the opportunity to ask department-specific questions in the effort to make the most of this experience. I want to thank Christine Derenick Lopez, Dwayne Gordon, and the team at the CAO's office for their efforts to make this class a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. With there being no additional speeches, Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that council stand adjourned until Thursday, June 13, 2019 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded. Council stand adjourned until Thursday, June 13, 2019, 10 a.m. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. Thank you all very much.